Okay, good morning everybody. Remember in last time's class, we talked about a very important speaking skill. It's called in other words skill, right? Okay. I hope you'll keep practicing that. In other words skill is a very nice skill for you to really be able to speak up. Okay, so you should keep practicing that. And in today's class, I'm going to tell you how to design your own self-paced English learning syllabus. Okay? Usually when we talk about syllabus, 授课计划书哈，所以今天的课程主要教大家怎么样设计自己的自学计划啊。When we talk about syllabus, it's usually something that your teacher gives to you at the beginning of a class. Okay, at the beginning of a semester, your teacher will give the syllabus to you and tell you what this course is going to be about and what kind of materials the teacher is going to use or what is the schedule. And when you do self-paced learning, the same. You imagine that it's a course that you give to yourself. Okay? So of course you need to design a syllabus for yourself. You might say that, oh, I'm going to study English, so I can just begin right away. Sure, you can begin right away. It's a very nice thing if you have very strong motivation and the motivation can keep going for a longer period of time. But for most people, as far as I know, most students, they get busier and busier during the semester. And once they get busy, they might decide to do self-paced learning tomorrow, right? Okay, and then the day after tomorrow, the day after tomorrow. That's why a plan, a syllabus is important. You design it, and usually I ask my students to design a syllabus for 10 weeks, 10周, okay? Because usually after 10 weeks, you can see some result there. If it's less than 10 weeks, usually the time is too short, okay? So you design a syllabus for 10 weeks, and then you carefully think about what you want to do in each week. You spend some time doing that, and it's going to be very efficient. Okay, it's better than that, okay, this week I have more time and I do more, and next week I don't have time and I completely stop my self-paced learning. No. Self-paced learning, a very important key to success is continuity. You have to continue doing that. Then you can see the result. Okay? So that's why I'm going to spend some time telling you how to design a nice syllabus. And I'm going to share with you 2 sample syllabuses here. Okay? First one is this one. This is a syllabus designed by one of my students in 自学课 last semester. 财经系的林敬正同学，我们非常感谢 Bruno. He was very generous to share his syllabus with all of us. And you can see this self-paced English learning syllabus, right? Okay? So, and on the syllabus, I would suggest that you write down your goal and your objectives clearly. Think about it clearly. What is the difference between goals and objectives? Goals are usually more general, okay? And objectives are very specific, exactly what you want to do in order to achieve the goal, okay? For example, for Bruno, his goal is to score 750 in the TOEIC test in December, and the semester begins in September, right? So that means he has about 3 months to prepare for his TOEIC test. And his goal is also to pass the English graduation threshold of NCU. You know that every NCU student has to pass a graduation threshold. And since his major is finance, so the requirement for him is TOEIC 670, but he would like to score higher than that. Okay, 学校都有毕业门槛啊，每个院不太一样。管院的同学是要求670。但是敬正他希望能够更好哈。And he also wants to learn English spontaneously. He hopes that he can become an autonomous learner. Okay, so this is his general goal. Then what exactly does he want to do? Okay, so these are the objectives. Objectives are smaller. You know, for TOEIC, they mainly test your listening and reading abilities, right? Okay, so he put listening and reading here. And you can also see, after listening, you see CEF B2 to C1. What does that mean? CEF means Common European Framework. Okay, Common European Framework. It's a framework for people in Europe to measure their English abilities. Okay, later I'm going to show it to you. And Jing Zhen used CEF as a reference to decide what kind of objectives he would like to achieve. Okay, so let's take a look. For listening, he wants to understand most TV news on current affairs and to follow extended speech. Extended speech means longer ones, 比较长的 speech, okay? Even when it is not clearly structured. Okay, sometimes, you know, in daily conversation, they might speak incomplete sentences. Okay, so like this, not clearly structured. Okay, and when relationships are only implied and not signaled explicitly. Okay, that means you have to make some inferences. Maybe the person doesn't say the thing directly, but you can imply. But the speaker implies something. Then you can make inferences and understand what's going on. So this is higher level, right? Okay, and that's why he put on B2 to C1. B2 to C1, let me show you this. Let me show you what CEF is. CEF assessment grid. This is CEF. Okay, let me show you the general picture here. It's separated into understanding and speaking and writing. Okay, so understanding includes what? Includes listening and reading. So mainly listening and reading is something some input there, right? So you need to understand something, but you don't need to create something. It's not some kind of output, okay? And you can see the level is from A1 to C2, A1 to C2. And the graduation threshold of NCU falls somewhere here, okay? Because if you say B1 is approximately 550 on the TOEIC test, 大概是多益的550 and up to B2 could reach to 750 on TOEIC test. Okay, so you can see B1 to B2, 550 to 750, roughly, because it's some kind of a kind of way to roughly compare CEF to TOEIC test. And so for listening, if you take a look at B1 and B2 here, let's make it bigger, okay? B1, it says here, listening. I can understand the main points of clear standard speech. Clear standard speech. Okay, if the speech is very clear and use standard English, then we can understand that. And on familiar matters. For example, if your field of study is finance or information management, then when you listen to something about information management, you probably don't find it very difficult because you have background knowledge. It's familiar to you, okay? And so in work, school, leisure, something like that. And I can understand the main point of many radio or TV programs on current affairs. Okay, so you can see this one is what Jing Zhen wrote down on his syllabus. Okay, so this is B1. And then B2, how about B2? B2 says, I can understand extended speech and lectures and follow even complex lines of argument, provided the topic's reasonably familiar. So again, familiar, that means something that you have background knowledge of. If you have background knowledge, even if it's extended speech, that means it's longer. But since you have background knowledge, you can still find that it's not so difficult for you to understand, okay? And also about most TV news and current affairs, okay? Current affairs, again, how come it's easier to understand current affairs even if it's in English? Because you have background knowledge in Chinese, okay? You probably have heard about it or read about it in Chinese newspapers. and then you have some background knowledge, then you can understand it better. Okay, and then C1. C1, this part is what Jing Zhen put on his syllabus also. Okay, something that is implied, only implied and not signaled. Signal means spoken or using body language to tell you something explicitly. Okay, so that's why his goal is B2 to C1. This kind of, if you use CF as a reference to design your syllabus, I think it's better. How come it's better? Because sometimes students will write on their syllabus and say, for listening, I want to understand fully I want to understand whatever native speakers say. I think this is too vague, too general, right? Whatever native speakers say, wow, that's very huge, right? Suppose the native speaker says something which is not familiar to you, you have no background knowledge of, then it's quite difficult. Even for me, it's very, very difficult, okay? And that's why if you use CF, and then at the end of the 10 weeks, you can really come back and evaluate whether you have achieved your goal or not. Otherwise, sometimes it's just 自我感觉良好, okay? And then you don't know exactly whether you have improved or not. Okay, so this one. And also for reading the same. So I'll leave this to you. You can take a look. And I think this part is very interesting. I want to give you this idea. In the speaking part on CEF, you can see that they separate it into two parts. One is spoken interaction. The other one is spoken production. What's the difference? Spoken interaction. Interaction means that you have to interact with people. So that's more in a day-to-day situation. You have to listen right away and react right away. Okay? So you have that time pressure there. The people you're talking to can't wait for a long time, right? Okay? So spoken interaction, you need to practice a lot. And usually you probably, sometimes you don't have to speak complete sentences because it's spoken interaction, right? And the other one is spoken production. Production means you produce something in speaking form. That's something that is similar to giving presentations. Like when you give a presentation, you can prepare in advance, you can practice, and then you produce this spoken thing to an audience, okay? So I believe, really, with proper preparation, every NCU student can do very well in this category, spoken production. Because I listen to my students' presentations, and I find that even intermediate or basic or, of course, higher level students can do that with no problem. And even basic or lower intermediate level students, NCU students, can do it very well, as long as they know how to prepare and they practice a lot, okay? But for spoken interaction part, we really need to know how to give ourselves more opportunities to practice and give us more input. Okay, once you have the input, then you give yourself the opportunities to practice the output. Okay, and then you'll be able to improve your spoken interaction. I'm still working on this. Okay, I can say that I'm pretty good at this part, but this part really everybody needs to practice. Okay, so that's why you also might want to check CF to see which part you are in, and then you can design a very nice syllabus for yourself, okay, like Jing Zhen did. And reading part, he write down C1, B1, CF B1, okay. He said that to understand texts that consist mainly of high frequency, everyday or job-related language. Okay, so again, it's high frequency language and everyday job-related language. That means something that you're familiar with, okay? And when you read that, and you can understand it very well. And he also wants to enlarge his vocabulary and understand unknown words by using an English dictionary, okay? So this is his goal, his objectives. This is just an example, okay? Just a sample for you to use as a reference. you think for yourself. You have to think clearly what is your goal. And then otherwise you feel that, oh, every day I'm studying some English, how come I feel that I'm getting nowhere? Because you don't have a clear goal. You need to make your goal very, very clear. Then you know how to achieve that goal. Okay? So like I remember once in my 自学课, there was a very hardworking student, a girl. She's a senior student, and she took the course in the spring semester. At that time, she already has been accepted by NTU. Okay, she was going to NTU to study in a graduate school, and then she said that, oh, she wants to, because she had a lot of time, so she said that, oh, I want to improve my listening, speaking, reading, writing in one semester. Okay, I said, okay, you have a lot of time and you might want to try that. And then in 2 weeks, she told me that, oh, I feel so exhausted and I feel so tired and I feel up to here already. And she didn't want to go on. Okay, and I said that that's because the workload was too heavy. Usually you can improve everything. Okay, and one more reason was that she didn't have a specific goal. She only said that I want to become an autonomous learner. That's a very nice goal. That's the ultimate goal, 终极目标. Okay, but on the way to the ultimate goal, you need to set some checks for you. Okay, some landmarks for yourself. Okay, so and then later on, I told her that maybe she wants to find out if she went to graduate school and she wanted to join the exchange student program. 你知道很多学校都有交换学生的计划嘛？ I told her that maybe that could be one of her goals. And then she checked it out, and then she found that she had to take TOEFL test, suppose at NTU, okay? And then so she set TOEFL test as her goal, okay? And so you see, you need to make the goal very clear, okay? And then next part on the syllabus, you decide what materials you want to use in order to achieve that goal, okay? In the following weeks, I'm going to tell you a lot about resources, materials, online resources and on-campus resources. NCU has, Central University has very rich resources there, okay? But the truth is you can't use every one of them. It's impossible. Again, if you want to use all of it, you're going to find it's too overwhelming, okay? So here, Jing Zhen chose 4 of them. He chose Advanced Magazine because I don't know if you know it. We have iMagazine on Language Center's website. Okay, it's free. Please use it. Okay, and also he chose BBC Learning English. This should be BBC Learning English, not BBC. Okay, BBC Learning English is provided by BBC and especially for learning English. And he chose. There are many programs on BBC Learning English, and he chose 6-Minute English and Talk About English. Also, he used TED. TED is a wonderful website. I'm going to introduce it to you also. And also he used NCU online tests. 中大有一个自学测验平台啊，如果是要准备考试类的同学，记得要去申请这个账号，是免费的很棒，而且不限校园 IP 啊Okay, so besides materials used, also think about the activities you are going to do. Okay. And for example, advanced, and Jing Zhen said, listen to and read 2 articles I'm interested in every week. Okay? Every week, 2 articles. I see some students listen to like magazine articles every day. That's very nice if you could do that. But usually, according to my observation, many students can't do that because really college students are very busy, right? Okay. So if you can keep going, at least several articles a week, then that's already very nice, okay? And at the beginning, you might want to choose something you're interested in. Your interest, very important. How to choose the materials? Choose something you are interested in. Very important. Don't choose something because your teacher tells you that it's good. Don't choose something because your friend introduces to you. No. Choose something because you like it very much. 一定要你自己很喜欢这个东西哈，不是因为说它是免费的，或者是它是很便利的 then you choose it. No. Choose it because after you read it, you really fall in love with it. You really like it a lot. Then choose it. Okay? Like BBC Learning English, Jing Zhen liked it very much. Okay? Many of my students also. So you might want to use that. And Jing Zhen said use it once a week. Once a week. Okay? And online test for TOEIC once a week. Okay? And then download something from BBC Learning English to his MP3 player and listen to it in my free time. Oh, this is so important. In your free time. Should be one period only, right? In your free time. In your free time to practice listening. Very important. If you want to improve your listening, then please don't count on the time when you sit at the computer and practice. No. Even if you use, say, 3 hours a week to practice listening, you say, oh, I'm going to schedule 3 hours a week and sit at the computer and practice that. No, no, no. Sit in front of your computer 3 hours, not enough. A week, a lot of time, right? 3 hours, not enough. Then how can you practice listening? Use some kind of gadget, okay, like an MP3 player, yes. Okay, use your MP3 player or cell phone, whatever you can download the audio files, okay, then you download it and then you can listen to it whenever you are free. Whenever you are waiting for something. In our daily life, we're always waiting, right? Okay, waiting for the bus, waiting for the train, waiting for the teacher to come, waiting for your friends to come, waiting for the lunch to be served. A lot of time you're waiting and you can use that free time and listen. We need to listen more. Listening is a very important key to your speaking. Not just to improve your listening, but also to your speaking. If you listen more and then you pick up the vocabulary or phrases very, very easily, and then you can use it in your speaking or in your writing. So you need to listen more. Okay, so this is a very important thing. And finally, on your syllabus, you put on the schedule. Jing Zhen's schedule is a very special one because he write down it this way. He didn't design it week by week. 他不是写那个，比如说第几周是做什么，第二几周是做什么，为什么？ Because he had more time. He had more time to do it. And because his goal was very clear, 3 months later, he wanted to score 750 on the TOEIC test. Okay? That's why he designed it this way. Monday, TED, Tuesday, Advanced Magazine, and watch some DVDs. And Wednesday, take the online tests, 线上自学的测验平台. Okay? And Thursday, BBC Learning English. Friday, BBC Learning English, that means他要有时间坐下来 check script 你听过之后还要 check script check 看看真正原文是什么Later I'll tell you how to do that, how to practice listening. And Friday, Advanced Magazine. Sometimes he might get busy, so he used weekend to fix the work undone. Maybe he didn't finish something during the week. Then he can finish it over the weekend. Okay? This kind of schedule is quite heavy. Quite heavy. Okay? So I wouldn't suggest that this kind of schedule to every one of you. Okay, if like you have quite heavy workload already, maybe you take more than 21 credits this semester. 你这学期修了超过21学分，课已经蛮重的了。Or you have many projects to finish, many reports to write. Then I wouldn't suggest this kind of schedule. I would suggest a different kind, and I'll show it to you later. Okay? But first of all, let's review what you need to put on the syllabus once again. Okay? Don't forget you should write down, think clearly about your goal, and you might want to use CF to think about your objectives. Okay? And then decide what materials you want to use in order to achieve the goal. Okay? And you don't need to use many materials. Just choose the ones that you really, really love, okay? And then think about exactly what activities you want to do. And then write down your schedule, okay? And 竞争, his goal is 750, right? Okay? And I was very happy during the winter vacation. 竞争 wrote to me, emailed me, and told me that, Grace, I'm so happy because I got my TOEIC score, and I scored 755. Okay, so he achieved his goal. Congratulations, 竞争. Yeah, very good. And then that's because he has a very nice syllabus, and he did it according to his schedule. Okay, but I mentioned that if you don't have that much time, you still want to do self-paced learning, then here is a different kind of syllabus I would suggest you to create. Okay, this one. Okay, and this student, he particularly wants to improve his reading skill. Reading only, reading skill. Improve my English reading skill. And cultivate the habit of reading English books. Okay, I know many of you don't have the habit yet, right? Okay, when we say habit, that's your habit. That means in your free time, when you feel that I want to do something enjoyable, you sit down and take out an English novel and read it, and that's your habit. Okay, if that you need people to push you and say, hey, are you reading your English novel? And then you say, okay, and then you take it out. And that's not your habit yet, because it seems that you don't enjoy it very much. That's why you need people to remind you of that thing, right? Okay. So for the student, okay, he wants to develop his reading habit. Reading is really wonderful. Okay, wonderful habit. Last time I mentioned that 中大我们有一个自学最高荣誉是100戳章，对不对？哈。但你知道吗？中大的同学 amazing, NCU students, wonderful, amazing students. Because many of the students have completed not just 100 hours of self-study. Many of them have completed hundreds of hours of self-paced learning. Okay, and recently I heard from 耿文瑶老师耿文瑶老师是现在我们自学计划的 coordinator。他讲说，目前你知道完成最多自学时数的是已经达到几小时吗？ More than 800 hours. Amazing, right? More than 800 hours. And this student started to do self-paced learning when he was a freshman, and now he's a senior student. Okay, he just keep going. He has been keeping going and going and going for 4 years. In 800 hours, mainly he spent his time in reading corner. 他大部分时间都是在 reading corner, because I believe he must have found the pleasure of reading. Okay, reading is really a marvelous thing. Especially for NCU students, we have a marvelous reading corner. You have to make use of it. You have to go there and enjoy the great environment. Okay, I'm going to tell you how to read. Okay, 我知道很多同学没开始，因为你一直觉得 reading equals tests. Okay, because for many students, reading after reading is reading comprehension tests, right? Okay, so of course, you don't think reading is fun, but if you use the right way, reading can be so much fun, and reading is the window for you to see the world. Okay, so I'm going to share with you that also in the following weeks. So this student's goal is to improve his reading skill and cultivate the habit of reading English books. And then his objectives: to learn to guess meaning from context. Guess meaning from context. This is so important. Guess meaning from context without checking the dictionary. That's the key, actually. If you really want to enjoy reading, you don't check dictionary every time there's a word you don't know. I know many students in Taiwan are good learners, so they always want to learn everything when they read. It's good because it enlarges your vocabulary bank, but it's no good because it stop you from focusing on the meaning. You focus too much on the language part. You want to know every word, you want to know all the grammatical points, rather than on the meaning. But meaning is the most important thing. Meaning is how you can enjoy the story more. Okay, then how can you focus on the meaning? By guessing meaning from context. You don't have to check the dictionary all the time. Okay, we'll talk about that later. Okay, and he wants to recognize the main ideas of a book and improve his reading speed, reading rate, and enjoy reading, of course. Okay, and then if you want to improve reading, and when you design the syllabus, the same, please choose the books. When you design the syllabus, you should have already chosen which books you want to read. It's not that you only put down here books in reading corner. It's useless because there are so many books in reading corner. If you only put down materials, books in reading corner, then when you go to reading corner, you still don't know what to do. You still don't know how to start. You might look at this book here and there, and then it's 1 hour already. Okay, so I'll tell you how to choose the right book also. And this student chose 3 very nice books there. Okay, Number the Stars. Okay, it's a Newbery book, Ghost Stories and Adventures of Tom Sawyer by Mark Twain. 这是非常有名的汤姆历险记啊。可你看到它后面还有写 Retold by Somebody by Nick Bullard. How come it's retold? How come it's retold? Retold means it's a graded reader, simplified reader. Okay, the original might be this thick by Mark Twain. Okay, but many publishers, okay, like this one should be Penguin Readers, they rewrite it and you make it simpler, but you can still read this great story, this great classic. Okay, so this kind of story can be a good choice, a reader. Okay, activity is the same. You have to think clearly, use fixed time slots. 一定要用固定的时段哦。你如果想要你自学习惯能养成，很重要一个要用固定的时段，千万不要讲说今天我比较有空我就去3小时啊，明天没空我就不去，因为有可能到下礼拜那个时间你又有事了。Okay, and so if you don't have fixed time slots, and then self-paced learning is going to be the last thing on your list. Okay, it doesn't have top priority. Okay, so suppose like for this student, he said that he wants to go to reading corner 10 to 12 every Tuesday. That's the time for 周会时间, right? 周会时间. So that's the fixed time slot for him. That means in this time slot, going to reading corner is your top priority. Top priority. No intrusion. 没有别的事情. No other things go before this self-paced learning. Then you can make it. Okay, so fixed time slots is very important. Like at least 2 hours a week. 至少2小时. Now, if you have more time, of course you can read more. But if you don't have more time, at least you have 2 hours every week. Okay? And also, he wants to make best use of my free time to read. If you want to use your free time to read, then you might want to, suppose I find this book especially interesting, Number the Stars, especially interesting, then I might want to get it myself, buy it myself. Okay? Then I can bring it with me all the time. Okay? And I can read it whenever I have free time, just like listening practice. Okay? And then he also says that he wants to spend some time every night before sleep. Okay? You can do that also. And schedule, 这个就是我讲的另外一种的 schedule. 跟刚才林敬正的不一样的，跟敬正不一样的。敬正的记得吗？ Remember? This is 敬正 schedule. Okay? Weekly schedule. But I mentioned that it's only for people who have a lot of time to do self-paced learning. And for most of you, I would suggest this kind of schedule because I know you're busy, okay? But I know you also want to improve your English. Then how can you do that when you're still very busy? This is the kind of schedule you can design, okay? Week by week. And then you also write down in each week what do you want to read. Carefully design that at the beginning of your project, okay, at the beginning of your self-paced English learning project. So for example, Number the Stars, there are totally 17 chapters. 所以他呢已经把它分好。In 3 weeks, he wants to finish the book. Okay? And then he wants to read ghost stories. Have you noticed that there are 6 stories in ghost stories, right? And then in these 2 weeks, it's different. Only 1 story each. How come? Remember, week 9 and week 10? They're usually the midterm weeks, right? Midterm weeks. Midterm weeks. Don't throw your self-paced English learning away, okay? You should keep going because continuity, remember, continuity is the key to success. So you don't say, oh, midterm weeks, I'm so busy, so I stop completely. And then I'll do it after midterm weeks. You know, sometimes some midterm weeks keep going and going and going, right? In some department, I know. Some departments, you have midterm this week and then next week and then the week after that. And then what about your English learning, right? Okay? So think carefully. If usually week 9 and week 10 are your midterm weeks, then you can reduce the amount of self-paced learning, but still keep it going. The key point is keep it going, okay? Reduce the amount. And believe it or not, usually when you keep it going, and when you read something in midterm week, do some extensive reading, it's gonna be the time that you feel most relaxing. You're going to feel so relaxed because you can take time away from your textbooks, away from your midterm exams, and then you can read something you really enjoy, and you feel so relaxed. You feel you finally breathe some fresh air, okay? Yes, this is not something I made it up. This is something many students told me. They told me in their reports and say, when I read something, read my the book I want to do in my self-paced learning, I feel so happy. I can totally relaxed when I read something. Okay, so I hope this happened to you also. Okay, and then you go on and finish that. So this is how you design your syllabus. Okay, so don't forget, on your syllabus, you're supposed to write in your goals, objectives. Think about the materials carefully. Spend some time, pick the right books or right materials for yourself, and think about what time can be your fixed time slot to do self-paced learning. And then design your schedule. And this kind is the kind of schedule I recommend to most of you. I even would suggest that you can put a square here. 你可以放一个空格啊，放一个空格在这边，这里有一个空格，然后呢 print it out， 把它印出来，贴在你的书桌前啊。And every week you finish that, you put a check there. Next week, put a check there. And you look at your schedule, you look at your syllabus, you feel so great. You feel this great sense of achievement because you have accomplished that, especially in these 2 weeks. These 2 weeks, okay? If you really make it, you're going to feel so confident. Really, I can do that. Even in midterm weeks, I can still study English, okay? Don't tell me you're very busy, so you stop that. Ask anybody, 你问任何一个已经毕业的学姐或学长或者是去念研究所的学姐学长 they'll tell you what busy really is, okay? What really busy is, okay? So right now you still have time, really. Right now, right here is the best time, best place. So you should start right away, okay? So this is how to design your syllabus. And also you might want to consider using CEF as the reference to design your syllabus. Okay? Thank you very much. And later we're going to talk about how to practice listening. Okay, let's take a break now. Thank you.